A dream that no one could save, a shelter, a whole act, a light that died with the night. I thought we were more alike than unlike.
Hey guys, it's Danny. Today I'm gonna show you how I put together this houseplant arrangement, which of course includes orchids. But fear not, if you've never grown orchids, well, the ones that I'm gonna show you today are some of the easiest ones you can grow in a home, and of course down below in the description I will share with you additional links, but I will give you some care tips throughout this video for these orchids as well. So don't forget to give this video a like if you end up enjoying it, and with that said, let's start with the plant stand. The plant stand is called Satsumas and you can find it at IKEA. It can hold 3 plants and I love the fact that the holders are not all the same level. It creates versatility and adds depth to the arrangement. On top of each holder, I'm using some cork plates from IKEA. I've seen this used on the internet together with the stand and I find that it makes a nice contrast and it also levels the holders. These things are not necessary though, I just have them around the house. Next up, the lamp is also from IKEA. It is one of the more affordable lamps. I like the aluminum finish. It's also a very light lamp and it can hold a maximum bulb of 20 watts, which is great because with this arrangement, a very dim bulb will not be efficient. I will talk more about the type of light I'm using towards the end of the video. Now that the hardware is in place, let's go to the plants. On the first and highest holder of the stand, I'm using an orchid, and this is one of my absolute favorites. It is a Bulbophyllum hybrid called Daisy Chain crossed with purpurascens, which is a species. The end result is a plant which flowers just like a daisy without actually being a daisy. Or at least this is the effect. The flower spikes are leaning, very whimsical on top of the pot, and each fluorescence is actually formed by a multitude of little flowers that are elongated. And that little bouquet of flowers gives the daisy effect. For those of you who know a thing or two about orchids, no, this Bulbophyllum does not smell bad. Actually, it smells kind of nice. But the best thing about it is the fact that the flowers are somewhat mobile. If there's just the slightest breeze in the room, they will start to move and look so beautiful, kind of like fairies are landing on them. Yeah, I know I have a big imagination, but I'm whimsical like that. I'll link it down below to more care tips regarding Bulbophyllums, but basically, this is an epiphytic orchid. It shouldn't really be potted in soil, but in orchid mix. But other than that, it really thrives on home conditions. It doesn't really like a lot of heat, but not a lot of cool air either. If you're comfy in your home, most probably this orchid will be as well. It also doesn't need very bright light. It thrives on bright shade or artificial light. It enjoys watering and needs to be watered just before the medium gets dry. But fear not, it has a mechanism of telling you whenever it wants water. You see those bulbous formations on top of the medium? Those are called pseudobulbs. Whenever you see them start to shrivel, that's a clear sign that you need to water your orchid. So if you make sure you give it a look every once in a while, you should be just fine. Next orchid I chose for this project is another Bulbophyllum. This is a hybrid called the Elizabeth and Buckleberry. It's one of the oldest orchids in my collection. I almost lost it at some point, quite a lot of history, but I still have it. And just like its cousin, the Daisy Chain, this one has amazingly beautiful flowers. Some of my favorite flowers actually, and I'm happy to see that other people, not necessarily orchid growers, are starting to add this plant into their collection because it's just so beautiful and easy to grow. The care is identical to the Bulbophyllum I just talked about. Sadly though, I didn't catch it in bloom together with the Daisy Chain. I chose these two plants because this arrangement is better seen from above. The plant stand is not very tall and the Bulbophyllums are not tall plants at all. So I wanted something that could be enjoyed from above, not something very tall. And even if these orchids are not in bloom, I personally really like the glossiness of the leaves, the beautiful foliage, and somewhat weird shape these plants have. It's not every day that you see pseudobulbs on houseplants, right? On the lowest tier of the stand, I'm going for a typical houseplant, and this is a snake plant. It's a Sansevieria. I've had this plant for quite a while. It seems to thrive no matter where I put it. It's not a very highlight plant, although I feel like it's going to enjoy whatever you provide for it as long as it's not complete darkness. So actually the stand is an upgrade for it, and I'm sure it's gonna do great. I wanted to mix in some houseplants for those of you who maybe are not orchid growers. Maybe this is the first orchid video you ever watch. And I wanted to pair plants that might be familiar to you, might be easy to purchase at the flower shop, and definitely go together amongst them and with this arrangement, just to give you an idea of how friendly those orchids are. Now, I could leave this project as it is, but I'm not going to, because I'm a little extra like this, so I am going to add 2 more plants. One of them is a fern, yet another very common houseplant. I'm sure you will find something like this, if not the very same plant, at flower shops or garden centers. And you might already know that it is a pretty easy to grow houseplant, very suited for this arrangement. It doesn't really need a very, very bright light, but wherever we place a fern, it just wildifies, if that's even a word, a little bit the situation. And I feel like I need something wild in this arrangement. I went to the flower shop, found the fern, and hey presto, it's in the arrangement, and I feel it's gonna do great here. And the cherry on top, or maybe at the bottom of the arrangement, is another orchid. But this is a statement piece, in my opinion. This is a Dendrochilum magnum. It is one of the bigger orchids that you can own in a home. It's not the biggest, you can definitely go bigger than this, and this guy might grow even bigger than this. But I do feel the need of a statement piece, and when it comes to orchids, there isn't all that much variety when it comes to big sizes. However, this orchid is absolutely fantastic there. I love how it kind of contrasts with the texture of the fern. And yet again, this is not a very highlight orchid, and bonus, when it's gonna bloom, it's gonna look like this. Oh yeah, can you imagine how beautiful it will be? So not only does it look good as a foliage plant, but when it blooms, it's an added bonus. Plus, I will link you to the video that I made on demystifying orchids for houseplants enthusiasts, again for those of you who may not be orchid growers yet. Give it time, you will become one. Now here's the twist. If you feel like you have too many bulbophyllums in this arrangement, let's replace one of them. So let's take out the Elizabeth and Buckleberry and put in a jewel orchid. This is my very favorite jewel orchid, and the camera absolutely cannot catch the beautiful sparkle this orchid has on its leaves. When you look at it, it sparkles. It's like a fairy came and sprinkled some fairy dust on it. That's exactly how it sparkles. And I tried to capture it on camera, but I simply cannot. Now, even if this is an orchid, it's a terrestrial plant, so I have it potted in a typical all-purpose terrestrial soil that I use for all of my other houseplants. I mix in perlite because it just makes everything fluffier and airier, but then again, I do this for all of my other houseplants. And on top, I mulched, quote-unquote, with some bark chips because I really dislike how perlite looks in time. It becomes all muddy, sometimes even green because of the algae, and I really don't like it much. So that's why the layer of bark is there, but it doesn't really do anything for the plant. And there we go, that's the arrangement. Now a little bit about the light. I'm using a grow bulb just to test it out. I bought it from Amazon. I will link it down below to it. I really don't know anything about the brand, which is Sansi, never even talked to them. I just picked something from Amazon based on reviews, and I will make my own opinion, but I do believe these plants will grow absolutely fantastic with a normal bulb. In my experience, orchids don't necessarily need grow lights, but of course I do believe the light from a grow light is more quality, so the choice will have to be yours when it comes to artificial light. But of course, these types of setups can be customized depending on location in your home or the plants you're using. I just hope this was inspiring to you, and if you've never grown orchids, I suggest you give them a chance. They're really not what you think they are. And I know you're thinking about the moth orchid, the Phalaenopsis. Yeah, well, that's an orchid too, but I personally prefer other types of orchids, such as the ones you saw in this video, which can be purchased at online or on location orchid nurseries. You just have to Google for one. So most probably you will find one next to you.
Months of rain and chest pain. What's the plan? Haven't breathed, stay insane. Now grab my hand. Everything is great inside this narrow maze. Everything has lost its taste. Ooh. Months of rain and chest pain. Haven't breathed, stay insane. Now grab my hand.
So that's about it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope it inspired you most of all, and stay tuned for more videos like this on my channel. Subscribe to my channel for more orchid videos, tutorials, experiments, updates, and other fun orchid subjects. If you wish to support the channel, do consider becoming a member or visit the merch store linked down below in the description. You can also follow me on Instagram and Facebook. It's always nice to stay in touch there as well. And with that said, I'll see you all next time. Bye!